You gonna learn today? Today on the ManSpace. Welcome to the ManSpace podcast. We're your hosts, Doctors Matt Brown and Rob Porter, and clinical therapist Mike Porter. Welcome, Spacemen. Today, we're learning.
We're doing number one, right?
Yeah, we're not learning. I mean, we're going to talk about what, right? We're talking about what we've learned about men.
Mm-hmm. What we've learned.
Dude, two things. Follow-ups on my... I've officially decided that episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars are just freaking terrible.
To the point you felt a need to discuss it in the family group chat.
I need to tell everybody, like, I'm making my stand. Star Wars is not you can't go in half committed. So one of my friends, though, he heard what my other friend Ryan said about Andor, which I've watched season 1 of. Very good.
Does it you have to push through the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, I think episode 4 was where it was like, that was a good episode. And then it's solid after that. But he disagreed a little bit with Ryan, who referred to it as, it's got a little Shawshank Redemption, a little bit of Ocean's 11. He said, this sentence is freaking awesome. I got to find it. There it is. He said, the prison portion is more akin to The Great Escape and Bridge Over the River Kwai than to the Shawshank Redemption. I think your friend may lack some textual depth, if that is his take. But it is in the same vein. In my humble opinion, it is the most prescient treatise on resistance to fascism that has been written in the last 50 years, and Diego Luna absolutely slays.
Wait,
Who says all this?
It was one of my buddies. I like that it says most prescient treatise on the resistance to fascism. And also Diego Luna slays.
That fits right in.
Also, I've heard this. One of my clients showed me this video clip of Freddie Prinze Jr., who apparently does a bunch of the voices on like the animated Star Wars stories. And so he goes off about how all these people get so mad at they don't like the new Star Wars. And he says what we've talked about. It's like, you like the ones you grew up with and you think the other ones suck. Until you're like me, where you've kind of settled in and it's like, no, 7, 8, 9 are good. 1, 2, and 3 are just bad movies. But he kind of goes and explains with lots of F words, mind you, that like this is why things go this way and the Force is always changing. He talks about the idea of balance.
Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yeah. He does a lot of voices on, and he works a lot with. And he talks about how he's like, this is coming straight from George Lucas. So if you think I'm making this up, go talk to George effing Lucas. But he says stuff like, Darth Maul is Sisyphus. He's always gonna be rolling the rock up the hill, and he's like, he knows it. He knows he's never going to succeed, but everyone loves Darth Maul. And then where he talks about, these two. This guy joins forces over here. Anakin joins forces with Palpatine, and so the Force always balances. And so what do we do to balance it? You get twins on the other side to balance it. And I was like, oh, he talks about. I was like, I didn't think about the Force as always being balanced. And so that's why it pulls this way and then goes this way. He said, if this movie happens and this guy dies, you know what's going to happen in the next movie. Or if this person succeeds in this movie, you know this guy's going to die in the next movie. It's fat. Yeah, I'll have to show you the thing or send it to you. It was, who knew Freddie Prinze Jr., who, by the way, apparently married Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah.
And they're still married?
And the only hint to that, all that, what you just said, is the one episode of Psych where he's like the UFO hunter closeted. Like,
Yeah.
Remember how he's going to be the new hot thing in the late 90s? And then it was like, oh, what happened to that guy?
Remember how I won?
They decided
Rick's,
to go
the lookalike contest.
You did.
Got 3rd place in the Viking for Freddie Prinze Jr.
Forgot that. That's a true. You got 3rd place. Huh? I'm a 3rd place for Prinze Jr. lookalike.
The first
in Rexburg, Idaho.
The girl who won the first one was
Idaho.
Mariah Carey, and it was like identical. So,
oh yeah,
no competing with that. I can't remember who was second. Yeah, but that year, I think was leading up to that stupid contest that my friend submitted me for. And then after, like, people kept saying, like, hey, has anybody ever told you look like Freddie Prinze Jr.? So, like, after a while, I was like, hey, has anybody ever? I'm like, yes. And they were like, okay. I'm like, because I have dark hair and sideburns. I don't look like him at all. You,
I worked with someone once who was a professional hairdresser, like did makeup and hair for movies.
Uh-huh.
And she said, I can make anybody look like anybody with just hair.
Wow.
And then I've thought about it multiple times where I thought, oh yeah, I've seen somebody like, you look just like, and I was like, oh, it's just their hair. And she actually had a thing where she went through and did her own makeup on herself and made herself look like a bald dude. She made herself look like Tobias Funke. I was like, whoa, dude. That was incredible. And it was like, exactly. Anyway, really impressive. So apparently that's why everyone's like, Rob, you know who you look like? And I always just say, are they bald? Yeah. How'd you know? Well, it's not hard to put 2 and 2 together there.
When our cousin Jason told me, Mike, you kind of remind me of Bruce Willis. Is it because I'm bald, Jason? No. It's because I'm bald.
No, it's because you have degrading mental capacity.
Oh. That's hurtful for 2 reasons.
Oh, poor Bruce.
It's aphasia.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's actually a guy
in the group.
It's the inability.
A guy in my
talk.
ward had it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You turn into Stephen Hawking and just look at the words on the screen. Is it
like
he can still think it, but he can't verbalize it?
Stephen Hawking can even put the.
Oh.
No, Stephen Hawking was ALS, right?
No, yeah, I know he wasn't aphasia, but I mean, is that like, could he communicate still through computer?
No,
I can't remember. He can't write or anything, right?
Yeah, like I think
it's the part of your brain that processes
the
language.
Capacity to like the thoughts are still there.
In ALS or in aphasia?
No, aphasia.
In aphasia. But being able to translate those thoughts into any kind of communication is gone. Like you can't build the words.
Being
that go
a prisoner
with
in your own head.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started thinking about that for a second. I thought, oh wait, we're already recording. I gotta keep going.
Well, one thing we've learned about men, right? You just nailed it. Like ultimate entrapment in your own mind is not heaven for men. Does that make sense? Like a lot of times people just think men just stay in their heads and don't want to communicate much, and it's like until you can't, like that would be horrible.
Depressing.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
on today's show, we discussed men and depression.
This is kind of funny because this idea, and I don't know if you guys have an answer to this question, but that question that's like, what have we learned that we didn't know to begin with?
Well, I knew everything, so.
Yeah, it's hard to look back and say, did I not know this? But I think maybe it's become a lot clearer. I got one.
I have one. I mean, that you can't take because I learned it.
Yeah, go for it. I don't even know what it is. It's in your head. You would just open your mouth.
Geez, Rob, why don't you talk for a change?
If only. Dude, yesterday I think I spent in the 7 sessions I had. Yeah. I would say I probably, across sessions, averaged me talking about 70% of those sessions.
I was told once that the ratio should be 80-20 client.
Yeah. I'm not that. I like it when it goes that way. It's not usually 70. Some clients I do have it's like 70% because it feels like,
well, it depends on what you're working on. If it's more like education or more processing.
Yeah, that's what it is to me. It depends what we're doing that day.
Sometimes it depends. Like I have some clients where I can see that them talking is a lot. And so getting 30% out of them is like, hey, good day.
Yeah.
I'll do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the thing, I think this is probably the thing I've learned that now I look back and think, did I not know this? And probably I think it didn't seem as real to me, at least, is how lonely men are.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I learned that through doing this or not, or maybe, I don't know. But it was like, I've had men talk about it in my office. And I think that loneliness has informed, at least in my head, it informs why they do a lot of what they do sometimes. Like when they, like their wife is their only source of support. I've seen those memes that are like, where it's like, man, doesn't she know she's my only friend? I wish she'd freaking talk to me, like you're the only person I talk to. So just kind of thinking how I think we need to be maybe a little more like bonded to each other. Like, hey man, we're all in this together. Kind of sucks being a dude, and we can only say that to each other, because if you say that to him, be like, oh, does it? Is it hard being a man?
Is it hard having all the power dynamics stacked in your favor?
I didn't realize. I thought it was just pictures. I didn't realize it's one of the hiking videos.
No, it's one of the silent hiking videos.
Is it Harmon or is it the other guy?
It's Craig.
Craig, Craig, whatever, Adams or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a lucky guy. Side note to your like non-empathic response, I kind of had one when I watched one of his videos one time. He had like a breakdown about how hard it is to do all this stuff and like be away from family and have to like film all this stuff. My first response was like, whatever, man. Like, you get to hike around the world. But then I was like, no, that would be rough. He's got like a newborn, and these videos take a lot out of you. And he did at the time. Yeah.
There's a little bit to me where I think, yeah, but you chose to do this. Like, you probably could have gotten a job that kept you closer to home. But
I mean, yeah, I watched something recently that he was like, it's funny, these guys that have successful video, YouTube channels like this that look like, oh, I could do that. Back in probably early college, he interned with MTV, and it's like, oh, you've been in like the film industry for, or TV industry, or all the ins and outs of this. And it is weird how like just the subtle gains that gives you kind of sets you apart from looking at something. I can't remember where I heard this, but it was like, it's like the last 5% that really distinguishes the experts from the novices. So you kind of get the illusion like, oh, anybody could do that. And it's like, well, try. And then it's like, oh yeah, mine's not as good. But in subtle ways that are important enough to make mine really suck.
Well, it's interesting. And just to clarify, people listening and not watching, is that Matt turned on a solo hiking video behind us because he doesn't care anymore.
To prove my point.
No, it's an ambient video, Rob.
It's ambient hiking.
It's all about the ambiance.
But this is what I've learned. I'm going to try and package it into one little nugget. No tri-tips.
Oh.
Because I think it's several things, but
3 filet mignons.
Say like, I haven't been like, I don't think it surprises me at 100%, because I think you hear men say this all the time, but I think like the way that the amount of relief, I guess, has surprised me. I knew it was kind of a preference, but how materialistically unattached most men are. Like, they don't give a crap about like the house, the car. I mean, they enjoy it, but I think it's like when you really ask, hey, and I think it comes by way of videos like this, not the Miracle Whip in the background. There's an ad playing right now, but it comes by videos like this. Like we've talked about when you play a video of like a guy building a survival shelter in the middle of nowhere and just sleeping there and making a fire and whipping out the steak that he brought with him, and or hiking or biking or whatever. Like the relief that most men feel. And then you start to ask them, hey, if it were totally up to you, like what kind of house would you have? And it's like, yeah, real small and cheap. Like all these things that But then the other surprising part is like, there's no way I could tell my wife that though. Like,
that's interesting.
A lot of, not all men obviously, but a lot of men I've talked to, it's like if I told, or maybe I tried to tell her that, and the conversation really didn't go well. And the funny thing is, I don't know that women are necessarily like ultimately as attached to those things either. But
definitely is not.
But I think it's more like all these things that are signals of status and security and all of these things that we get attached to. But yeah, like I think I've heard way more men than I guess I would anticipate express massive relief contemplating like having half or more than that less stuff and not having to worry about providing all of that because it doesn't matter to them.
What's interesting about it though is like, and to clarify, I will say this: when I say the loneliness thing is what I've learned, I don't mean to say like I'd never considered it, but it does feel like I think I learned it in a different way. Like I started to feel it like, oh, this is a really big problem.
We all are. We're just pretending we're not.
But what you're saying, I think what's interesting is how many men it's like when they say, I just want that. It's like you want the relief, but they don't do it because I don't think it's even their wives necessarily. It might be.
No, it's also other things too, but it's like in the context of this is the life we're building together, and I would do it very differently if it were all up to me.
Yeah. Although sometimes I wonder if they would. Like, that's what I think. If you could move off by yourself and no one lives around you, sure. But if you're going to stay living here and you could just move into a much cheaper house and drive a dumpy car, would you still do it if you knew, not even your wife, if your wife was cool too, but everyone around you is like, oh yeah, haven't been successful as a male, huh? That's the part that I think they're stuck with. It's like, I have to show my success.
There's both sides of it. I guess it's more like the amount of relief that comes, which to me could indicate like, okay, that maybe you're just wanting to avoid pressure and responsibility. But I think it's more like that's way more aligned with who I actually am.
Yeah.
But this false self that's built around like approval from my peers and like providing for my wife and family, like all that stuff is what I feel like I have to keep propping up. But then I think also they start to feel like if I were to express how I actually feel about this, there would be no place for that in this world that we've built. And so my feelings really don't matter.
Yeah, I see that's an interesting point. Like, and I also think I've said this to my wife before recently that it's like, she was talking about, I was like, let's go get like a hotel and go hang out and do stuff in Austin. She's like, why don't we just, she's like, I don't want to stay in another hotel bathroom. Why don't we
This is her bathroom thing, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, but I was like, I think I mentioned this last time. It's like, I just want to feel like myself again. Like, I don't want to feel like my whole life is, and I don't mind it. I'm actually happy to do it to like live life for my kids. But it's like all the stuff I do is just so I can support my kids.
Yeah.
Like I don't need more stuff. I wouldn't mind having certain things, but I'm not going to, at this point, I feel like I don't want more stuff.
Yeah.
I just got to make sure my kids get set up. And someone's like, it's not your job, Rob. And I was like, one of my clients, and I was like, yeah, I know, but I also don't want to shaft my kids. Like, I don't know. So I get that it would be, that's why I talk about Rob's death fantasy, the relief of
That's true. I forgot about that. I do think though, that gets labeled sometimes as like, or the initial response is like, you're lazy or, you're not working hard enough.
You're not living up to your potential.
That's the part that bothers me even more, right? Is there's kind of like a guilt and shame response to wanting something that ultimately, like, look at the mounds of research and like, thousands-year-old wisdom on what makes us happy. That's like the truest statement you could have, right? Is like none of this stuff actually matters, but the immediate response is like there's something wrong with you if you're moving toward that thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's just like and I know this isn't like specific to men and even if men could move that, it wouldn't, like, this way larger, existence question. But I think it's just really starting to like bother me more than it has in the past.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You've said it before, just when we were out hanging out, and I've thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that I knew or would have considered how many men actually do feel that way. Like, this isn't really the way I do this, but this is the way we all kind of have to do it. Or, like, it's kind of depressing.
It is, and it's not that you can't have a happy life, any other way. But I think that there's just like this deep, deep yearning that barely gets spoken. Maybe is what I'm trying to say. And when it is, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a huge deal for you, buddy. And then at the end of a session, it's like, yeah, but I'll probably just go back to work and do it. It's like, I know, I get it. It sucks. So I just wish we got exposed to more ways of doing life.
That's what I wish I would have considered, hey, there's not really a right way to do this.
Yeah.
Like, do it whatever way feels best for you and feels like you're kind of living the best version of yourself and continually growing.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Mike?
Yeah. Like, it makes me wonder how much men really actually know themselves.
There's not really time for that. Go get a job that makes money.
Well, and even just this, like, I think a lot of what people respond to as they look at like this idea of like, just being out in the middle of nowhere. It's your death fantasy. It's that absence of.
Yeah.
And I think, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a reflection of what they want. It's just a reflection of what they don't want. They don't want the continued pressure of. They don't want this, and they think they can get it by going over here. And it's like, well, would that actually satisfy me? Like, I love nature. Like, Jenner and I, for Mother's Day, because it's like her favorite place here, drove up to Adirondack, which is just beautiful. Like, it's green and there's trees and it's peaceful and quiet. Like, and I thought, as we were leaving, we drove by, right? They have missionaries that live on site. And a couple of the missionaries was like 8:00 at night, just sitting on the front porch. And I was like, oh, holy crap, I could do that in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Like, just hanging out on the porch, looking out over all of this. And I thought, for like a week. But then I don't know that that's what I would want anymore. And I want it, like I wanted it Sunday night, because there was some crap going on and I didn't want to deal with it and I wanted to get away from it. And what better way to get away from it than to sit on the porch and enjoy nature? But I don't know, it just like listening to you talk about that. But like, do we actually know the thing? Like, there are aspects the longer I'm here, the more I realize that like there are parts of myself that I have intentionally not shared with people because I don't think they would accept it if I did. I think I would be viewed as a lesser man.
You want to do it right now?
No, thanks.
I won't view you as lesser, dude. I'll probably.
I know you guys won't. That's part of why.
But it's it's the 7 listeners we have. You have to be careful about them.
The 7 listeners. No, it's more like, I don't even know that I have people here that listen anymore. I know I had a guy who did listen. I don't think he listen anymore. Yeah, probably.
I mean, 250 episodes is a lot.
Like, he hasn't said anything to me about it in a really long time. So I'm like, okay, he probably doesn't listen anymore. But it's just that realization of they don't know me, because I'm not putting that stuff out there because I don't necessarily trust the response I'll get. And so it just made me wonder, like, okay, well then how much am I actually living reflective of, like, yes, there are principles that I live that are very reflective of the man I want to be. But there are other things that I think, no, I haven't found a circle where I trust it. Like, you guys know this stuff. Like, You guys know who I am. I don't hide really anything from the two of you, I think. So, but it's just that, yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious about it, I guess. I don't have an answer. I'm just curious, like, what? Stop talking, is what I said? Yeah, I'm trying to. I just can't seem to wrap it up. Jeez.
It's like me in sessions. I was just kidding. Keep going. Or are you done?
That's funny. I really don't have anything more to say. Yeah. I really am just trying to wrap up the thought, but the problem is it's not a complete thought in my head. It's just kind of amusing, I guess. Like I'm curious about it.
Well, what's your thing you've learned? I mean, go ahead. Do you have one, Mike?
Yeah. It actually, and that again, I will say the loneliness thing stood out to me. And it, like, I don't know, I think I've been shocked as we've talked together and as I've continued to, work with clients, just how misrepresented it feels like men are. Where I think, yeah, we're often portrayed as just, all we want is sex. And yeah, I'm not saying that men don't want sex more than women. We do. But it's the more I've talked with people and started to realize oh yeah, but there's reasons for it. It's not just because we're sex craving addicts or something like that. It's not that. It's we crave this intimacy and this vulnerability, and we don't know how else to ask for it, so we ask for it through sex. And I think with men, especially the more we started talking about that kind of stuff, just how often our insecurities play a bigger role in some of the things that we do. Which ties back into what I was just saying. There are things that I don't share because I have insecurities surrounding it, and I don't trust people with those. And so it's no, it's cool. I'll keep it to myself. But the more we've talked, I'm oh, so that's not just me. That's other people too.
So. Yeah, I think it's interesting because one of the other things I thought that I don't know if I would say I've learned this, but this has shaped differently the way I approach therapy. I think without knowing it, I did believe. I think that if men could just be more open and expressive with their feelings, couples would do better. And I do still believe that. I think
part of it, yeah.
I think that men, if you could not be sad in the corner, but just say, "Hey, I don't like this," and spoke up more, I think it would change the balance. But I don't believe that men are the problem the way I think I used to think. I think my therapy, I used to go at men more often. And now I feel like I'm going at women more often to say, you need to see what your part is in this and trying to push back against what's already been present in their relationship before seeing me, which is he's the problem. So that's definitely shifted that for me too. Yeah, I guess I'd say I learned that. I don't know if it's a truth I've learned as much as it's something that's shifted my thinking. Anyway. Well,
the whole episode was a tri-tip.
It was one giant tri-tip.
Giant tri-tip.
With a little after dinner mint of one extra thing Rob learned. Now I'll say, hey, Spacemen, text me and tell me what you've learned. 512-766-5154.
I am curious about something.
What?
And it would have been better if I had asked this before Rob more or less wrapped up the episode. Is there something that, as you look back, you think, oh, I used to think this way, but now I don't?
In general?
Like about men. Right. We're asking the question, what's the thing I learned? I'm curious, is there a belief that changed?
That's what I think mine was that. Like, I used to think men were more of the problem in relationships than I think now. And maybe I'm seesawing and going the other way and being like, women are all the problem. So I did mine. This is
I don't necessarily have one. I was just, when you said it, it made me curious. Like, I wonder if Matt, do you have one? I guess.
I mean, this is maybe a brief one. I think that men are much more blessed by, I will say, real conversations about what's going on than I thought they would be, if that makes sense. And I think before we did this, maybe I had read this, but it might have been along the way. But when you look at research on basically reports of satisfaction and benefit from therapy, men are stereotypically or historically less likely to go to therapy, although I don't know if that's still true. But they report enjoying it more and getting more out of it oftentimes than women do. And I don't think women aren't reporting that they get, benefit from it. I think it's just more like, well, that's surprising. So I think I've learned that if you approach those conversations kind of with like a gentle persistence towards something that maybe I've come to trust that more. Before, I'd probably be a little bit more timid, like, oh, this guy doesn't seem like he's going to be into talking about this stuff. So I'd kind of match his energy, and then it would not really go well. It'd be kind of like, well, I'm tolerating this because I need to for my relationship or what other reason, right? But I think I've started to just trust, like, no, you'll like this. Like, we'll just keep talking, and then, and I think if I lead with that energy, like, this is actually a good thing. And I don't need to convince you of it. I just have like a silent trust that we'll get there. That a lot of guys are like, man, this is like the only place that I get to talk openly like this. And I didn't realize I needed that. So
now you can wrap it up, Rob.
Well, we've been granted approval from our
Overlord
sponsor, Mike, from our sponsor, Maverick.
From Maverick. Do you have a Maverick by you?
No.
Oh.
It was my trip, but I think I told you that water bottles, and I guess these are water bottles still, in my opinion, are like the new handbags, because as soon as I got this, my daughter was like, ooh, it's a hydro jug. I was like, I didn't even read that part, but cool.
Yeah. Whatever.
Mine still comes from Walmart.
So come back next time and find out how cheap Mike is on the ManSpace.
I'm real cheap.
That's perfect.